Hello my friends and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Electronics. Today we are looking at this Technics Stereo Dual Cassette Deck RS-TR165. As you see, this is a dual cassette deck. Usually dual cassette decks are not that popular amongst people who like to listen cassettes and record cassettes and things like that. Well, that's true, but for those people who are just want to play cassettes and maybe do some occasional recording, this cassette actually, dual cassette decks did quite well, and there are a lot of them around and they can be pretty cheap. So this dude, for example, cost me $20 or even less than that, I don't even remember, and 20 Canadian dollars. So this dude, for example, I got pretty much for free. I just would like to play with it, to see how it works and show you what's inside, to show you its features, and then I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Alright, so what's the main feature of double cassette deck? Obviously it's two decks. We have deck number 1 and deck number 2. Some double cassette decks, both decks can do playback obviously, but some of them both can do also recording. In this particular case we have only one deck which does recording. This deck does playback. There is even more important things to understand. So this particular cassette deck can also do auto reverse, but as you notice, this deck does not have auto reverse. So in this particular case, this deck number 2 is full featured with auto reverse and record features. This one is much more simpler, essentially resembles the simple music player or Walkman. Yeah, well, nevertheless, it's still a relatively decent cassette deck, especially having this auto reverse feature. What else it has? It has Dolby B and C noise reduction. It has double speed dubbing. So for example, from this deck to this deck you can record at double speed to obviously reduce dubbing time or copying time. Very important that it's good and important it has record level, so you can tweak your record level to higher or lower values depending on what you're looking for. For example, if you do record from line out and level is too high, you can reduce it. Also you can switch different playback modes. For example, you can for example continue playing this deck in auto reverse. You can switch between two different decks. You can do one then another. Yeah, so this is really nice feature if, for example, if you want to have continuous music playback. Really nice. So let me show you something else which I like a lot in this particular deck, that this dampening of this action, opening action of this cassette tray. I think this is actually one of the best I ever seen. The other decks I have, this is either noisy or very abrupt, like bang, it opens the door right away. This particular case, I think it's the best I ever seen. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are even better, but this is really good. Another good feature of this particular deck is it can be synchronized with the CD player, for example, to do some recording from CDs, but this requires appropriate CD player, which is probably the same brand as this Technics. I'll show you some controls on the back. At the end of the story, this is pretty much it. Over here there is a phone's output. Unfortunately, there is no any like phone's volume regulation, so you get what you get. This is kind of weird feature of this deck. Essentially, this phone output is mostly for monitoring. You just monitor, like you monitor your I don't know if music is there or not. For the listening experience, you probably need to connect this thing to the receiver, stereo receiver. There's a mechanical counter. There is also left and right level. There is some modes over here, deck 2 and deck 1, noise reduction and the reverse mode. That's it. I think this display over here is very simplistic. A level meter is really coarse, so it's not much level over here, so yeah, so not gonna help. So these little divisions over here, they look like some little more, like you see this like 1 2 3 4 5 6 sections and little tiny divisions. No, those are just one LED, so only 6 discrete levels over here. Yeah, this sucks. I will show you just a moment. So here we are. This is the back side of the deck. So obviously we have line in and line out, but over here we have all those remote features. It's like in and out and synchro edit. I'm not exactly sure how it works and what equipment you have to have. So this is clearly not for infrared remote. So essentially you connect it to your receiver, to your CD deck and things like that, and all this crap gonna work together, and you would be able to, for example, start playback or start recording when you hit playback button on your CD, for example. There is outlet, so technically you can attach more devices, cascade them, 100 watt max. So this do 15 watts, so yeah, you can connect several more devices. Probably not a receiver, because receiver potentially, if it's powerful receiver, can consume way more than 100 watts, but FM tuner, like CD player and things like that, yes. I see in, and you see I really like this more than I saw in older decks, because over here there's a polarized AC plug, and even more, this plug is polarized as well, so not like we saw in any other decks. Still doesn't have grounding, but this is way better than it used to be. Plus also it's this wire is detachable. It's like way good for transportation. That's pretty much, as I mentioned, it consumes 15 watts. That's it. So let's try to, oh yeah, by the way, here's the serial number, FL0 or FLOCA, I assume this is Canada, 06551. Yeah, whatever it means. I don't think this is real, like this. If this is just a serial number, this is really low serial number, like 6551. But I don't know. Maybe there is also some letters here matter. Okay, well, let's power it up and try to play some music. Okay, first I will play music on this side. There's one important feature that this deck doesn't have manual selection of cassette type. So I assume, because there are some notches over here, that this cassette deck will be using automatic type selection. And right now we are using type 2 Fuji DR2 with some YouTube licensed or YouTube license free music, so I'm not gonna have any copyright strike in my video. Alright, so here we are, some music playing, and as you see, those levels, they are only 6 levels of them, so each sector actually just blinks completely. Okay, let's try and play music in this, on this side. So as I mentioned before, those record levels or playback levels are very coarse, and let's try to do this. So now we are playing music on side B, so without switching, opening the cassette tray and switching the turning the cassette around, you can just play side 1 or side B, or side A and side B, because this cassette is auto reverse. Technically it can reach the end of one cassette and switch the head and continue further, like essentially it rotates one way and rotates another way, it rotates one way and rotates another way. by turning the head and switching the motor direction, or you can do it manually by switching this, doing just that, and gonna switch direction instantaneously, which is pretty cool. I think this is really nice feature of this cassette deck, and it does it pretty much instantaneously. Nice, playing quite well. So now over here we have this timer control, which I never actually understood why it would used to be, but probably you switch it to play when this guy completely powered up by timer, it just start playing automatically, or if you switch it to record when this guy is powered, it starts recording automatically, but I keep it in off. Let's just give it a try. Yeah, I don't know how that really works. Maybe you have to like press play, power it off, and then when you power it on, it does nothing. Yeah, I don't know how that feature works. I need to read the user manual, which I, by the way, have. I have the user manual for this guy. Original user manual for this guy, paper one. Alright, so this is pretty much on exterior of this cassette deck, and as you see, the belts are fine. It doesn't need any poking around and adjustment of belts. I didn't check the speed, but it seems to be like it plays pretty good, so I didn't really even bother checking the speed and azimuth and all things like that. But what I'd like to do, I'd like to actually open it up and see how it looks inside. So let's do it. Okay, we have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. So let's quickly open them up. So after opening up, removing all 6 screws, 2 self-toppers and 4 very funky looking screw bolts, take a look at them. They look more like buttons, but they have sharp end and some thread over here. We can remove this lid. Yep, let's put it aside, and doesn't budge. Ta-da! So we are inside, and what we see, actually we don't see much. We don't see much. Everything looks pretty quite simplistic over here. Wow, I'm kind of surprised, but I'm not surprised, because this is expected to have, in modern type of decks, a lot of ICs instead of whole bunch of discrete components, as you saw in previous decks I disassembled. And this particular one has a lot of stuff unpopulated. I assume all those little holes over here and over here, I'm not sure if what that's supposed to mean. Either this unpopulated stuff or this is some whole bunch of vias, but yeah, it's really hard to tell. And all those holes are drilled. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit closer and talk about electronic components over here. So, first of all, as you see, we don't have many discrete components, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's it. Big ass chips, especially this one. Well, this Mitsubishi M50746, I assume it's sort of microcontroller, IC901. Those two Philips thingies, potentially they are amplifiers. TEA0665, two of them for left and right channel. Maybe they do Dolby BC all in one, just playback, maybe even playback and recording chips. This dude, I don't know, it has this M letter on it, so I don't know, what is this? This big dude, it has letter M on it, some Japanese symbols, and this one has some Japanese symbols as well. Maybe, yeah, I think it's Japanese. It's M and AN7E51K. Hey, whatever it is, whatever it is. There is clearly indication of what is what. For example, here is like deck 1, motor 1, whatever it is, some other controls over here. So it's nicely, everything nicely labeled. Same on this side, which obviously has a little bit more than just motor 1. It has still one motor, but it has also servo motor to switch heads. So hence it has way more connectors. So this. Yeah, in this case it's not even numbered, so I assume this is deck 2. Yeah, it doesn't say much on this side. Headphones. Here's it says headphones. So headphones output just plain. Oh, I found someone here. Just plain connectors and straight to the headphones, no regulators. Potentially, maybe there is a possibility to have in different versions of the same DAC, there is a possibility to have potentiometer to adjust or amplifier. Look, what? Wow. This is a little jumper, it cut off and it says test J22 cut. Oh, and it is cut. Interesting, never seen this before. It is transformer power supply. Probably all these electronics over here, those two transistors, those three big capacitors, they are part of power supply circuit. I do not know what kind of capacitors are those. They look good. It has Japan writing on them. 1000 microfarad, one 25 volt 2200 microfarad. I think this is straight out of the transformer very nicely mounted. Never seen this before, but it's really good. It is well done. It seems like transformer just plugged in essentially with secondary straight, not with secondaries, just secondaries and primary straight into the main board. I really like this solution. No messy wires. Transformer is not as shielded as I want it to be. Doesn't have the metal can around all windings. Like on the bottom side, it's actually plastic, and top over here there's I think this is smaller wires. Secondary is just open. So yeah, in higher end decks, this is all completely shielded in steel encasing. Maybe not big deal, but you know, anything which can improve sound quality counts. In this case, shielding would be very beneficial. It's really hard to figure out where is the bias oscillator, because it's like this deck is from 90s. It's like I think this one I saw somewhere it's from 1990 actually. The chips are from 89, like 89 for first week. This one is really hard to say what it is, doesn't say much. It says 3101, whatever it means. So again, this one in Korean or Japanese, really hard to say. So really, I can't tell you what kind of date code is here. Yeah, but somewhere, let me see, where the hell I saw this? Oh yeah, on the motor. Yeah, over here on the motor, date is 1990. So yeah, so this deck is made around 90 or 91, depends when it actually was made and when it was available on the market. So let me take a look closer in those chips. I'm curious what this dude are, this one and this one. So I'm not gonna go and try to do research right now. I'm gonna make a nice screenshot or nice photo of all this PCB and actually completely and tell about each individual component, but it's not that of a big deal because the schematic of this guy and service manual is still available. It's not that new, so it's still vintage, and majority of vintage components, they still have their schematics available to read. There is a service manual, and yeah, this is all available for public. There's a whole bunch of adjustment potentiometers over here. So this actually, to me, look like potential a bias oscillator circuit, because it has a bunch of, I think those are precision capacitors. So this looked to me like a bias oscillator circuit. It's kind of hilarious that it's not shielded. There is nothing shielded here, by the way, unless bias oscillation done completely different. It's more like a digital synthesis, and then it uses some circuit in order to actually simulate or make sinusoidal out of digitally generated frequency signals, potentially. I don't know what was the stage of art in this department at early 90s or late 80s, but this looked to me as a actually bias circuit over here, this one, and it's not shielded for whatever reason. Alright, so let's take a look at the Macs. We have two distinct cassette mechanisms, so one of them over here, another is over here. Let me turn this thing around and we're gonna take a look at them and see what's so special about them. Okay, here we are. So our two distinct cassette mechanisms. So this is deck 1 and this is deck 2. As you see, they're quite a bit different. They are look-alike. The placement of components are similar, but way more wires are over here coming to this deck, right? For example, this wire, all this jazz, it's way more stuff, just because this deck is auto-reverse and it has recording. This deck is not auto-reverse, it doesn't have recording, so it actually doesn't have erase head as well. Motors. Looks like motors are identical. This is MMU motors, whatever this M means. I don't know, it's Mitsubishi, or I need to take a look what kind of brand is this. It's this one made in September 20th, 1889, right? This one made February 8th, 90. Oh, here, this motor. 12 volt DC motors. Very nice looking motors. Nothing to tell, and they looks like they are identical, so they are interchangeable. So the main difference, what I see right away, is the capstan wheels. So this capstan wheels is made of plastic, and it has belt, obviously. Okay, so this capstan wheel, and there is another big capstan wheel over here hiding behind this wire, behind this cable, or flat cable. Is both of them are cast aluminiums, so they are metal and they are much heavier. So I assume the woven flutter and playback speed stability features on this deck is way better than on this one. Okay, so this one is junky deck, and looks like also the belt here is kind of flopping in the breeze. This belt is actually round belt. This is important. If this belt goes, this, I don't know, whatever it is probably a rewind and forward belt. So if this belt goes berserk, you would have to like fetch out the specific round belt, which is not sometimes easy to find. The rectangular profile is available, widely available. So this belt seems to be okay, at least to me. As we see, also playback is nice. This is probably big and major difference between this deck and that deck. Very, very interesting. And obviously it has two big flywheels because it has two capstans which are rotating in opposite directions. Obviously it has, well, it's really hard to show you. It has a motor which actually switches the head direction. I'm gonna feature that later when I actually have chance to show you some other footage. Also, there is over here a little roller with another belt, and this belt I think for the counter. So this deck has a counter, not both of them, just this deck. So this deck is really much more full featured than this one. That's pretty much it. I cannot tell you much more. There is probably deck 2 head, and it is 5 wires, left, right probably, and ground. And here's the head for the deck 1. It's way less wires. Oh no, 5 because there is a ground and left and right, and there is 2 wires for the race head. So yeah, and proximity to this kind of unit over here again supports my idea that this is bias oscillator. Okay, again, it's really hard to tell where is the specific motor controller. Oh, okay, probably over here, because it says 1x, 2x, so this is 2 different speeds, and you can tweak them. And I assume over here, no. This is record gain. Yeah, I don't really see where can you... oh, okay, over here. So deck 2 actually has only 1 speed. That's weird. Deck 1 has 2 speeds, and deck 2 only 1 speed. That's weird. I would know why would I thought it would be both of them would have 2 speed adjustments, like deck 2 and deck 1. Yeah, no comments over here. Potentially, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There is a lot of unpopulated business over here. There's a lot of unpopulated business over here. Looks like over here there is even whole chip unpopulated of some sort. But yeah, we would never know what's supposed to be there. I cannot tell much more than that without actually digging more. So let's wrap up on this department. I'm gonna do some high resolution photos of each component over here and publish them on my website. And let's take a look back to the front of these cassette decks, and we can continue further. So I think it is time to assemble this little guy in its original shape and try to play some music a little bit more.
open.